I want you to think of things you might take for granted. It would be the clothes you wear, the breakfast you had this morning, or the roof over your head. Now what about water? Water may be one of the most overlooked resources that we have. We use it to wash ourselves, wash our clothes, and we will drink water, and use water for many other things. It's one of the building blocks of the universe, and without it, none of us would be here. Yet, how often do we seriously think how necessary water is for our survival and well-being? And what would you do if you ran out of water? Here's an inconvenient truth though, that nobody wants to think or talk about. Bali, our paradise island, is running out of water. It may be hard to believe, especially during the rainy season in Bali, when the skies open and the paths through green school turn into rivers. Sadly though, it's a truth that cannot be ignored. Now, let's talk about my hometown Kintamani Satra. My hometown Kintamani Satra is up in north of Bali, where the water is fresh and flows to the hills, rivers, and luscious green trees. It's a perfect environment for farming coffee, cloves, and many other beneficial plants. But now, there's not much of it, because Bali is currently experiencing a groundwater depletion. Also, saltwater intrusion, the decreasing of river and lake water, and land subsidence to add to the deteriorating water quality, my hometown Kintamani is in big trouble. The whole of Bali is in big trouble. Now my hometown Kintamani is up in north of Bali, close to the Jula beach. And because of the uprise in water consumption up in north of Bali, it has fallen victim to the overpowering saltwater intrusions. Now, let's think about that. What would you do if you went home to your house tap and expected some normal fresh drinking water, but instead took a gulp of some salty, stagnant, undrinkable water? Well, this is a reality in some regions in Bali. Well, this also may be hard to believe, because people around Bali have created lots of ways to transport Bali's water reserves to the hotels, homes, factories, offices, and so on. Now this is mostly because of Bali's economy. It heavily relies on tourism. Tourism is something we totally take for granted here in Bali, and it's almost impossible to imagine Bali without tourism. And it's so easy to take for granted how much water is being used for everyday things here, and because of that, 65% of Bali's waters are used for serving tourism needs. In 2018, Bali's population was 4.2 million, and the island hosted a staggering 15.9 million domestic and international visitors. That's almost 4 times as many visitors than Bali's population. There's a high demand of fresh water in Bali, and I think we can all agree. And because of that, Lake Buyan, the island's largest water reserve, had dropped 5 meters since 2012. And Indonesia's Environmental Protection Agency has found that 260 of Bali's 400 water reserves, just about 60% of Bali's rivers, had run dry. Now, let's talk about my hometown Kintamani again. In my hometown Kintamani, the most common ways to create income is to create a business, to sell and grow crops, and to gain quick profit. People sell the land. Now the reason people sell the land is because creating a business is hard and selling and growing crops is hard. And most of all, it takes lots of time. For example, a clove tree starts flowering after 6 years of planting, if grown in favorable conditions, and that's a long time. However, it takes 15 to 20 years for it to grow to its full-bearing stage. But because of climate change and the declining of levels of water and rain, planting crops is now even more challenging. For example, the increasing temperatures, changes in precipitation patterns, changes in extreme weather events, and the reductions in water availability may all result in reduced agricultural productivity. And today, we live in a culture of instant gratification, where if you need something, you basically get it in an instant. Or if you need tools, you go to the hardware store. If you're hungry, you go to the restaurant, or you Gojek something. Let's be honest, I use Gojek to get food or to go somewhere quickly. And I think we can all agree that life today is so easy. And because we're so used to getting things basically in an instant, if there's that one moment where you don't get something instantly or the way you want it, I'm pretty sure we feel frustrated. And that's why people sell the land instead of waiting for months up to years to sell and grow crops. Now, is it worth it? Here in Bali, we've been farming for generations. It's embedded in our culture. It's a part of the Tri Hita Karana. So every time we lose a part of our land, we lose a part of our culture, a part of our beautiful landscapes. And why do people come to Bali? Because of its culture, its beautiful landscapes. So not only is Bali's water problem slowly depleting Bali's water reserves, but it's also slowly destroying Bali's culture, Bali's economy, and Bali's remarkable landscapes. Now, let's talk about my family's coffee business. My family's coffee business started when I was a child. Mostly because of my dad, that guy on the top. His love for farming is remarkable. He probably spends more time in his plantation maintaining crops than spends time with me. And living in Ubud, you feel frustrated. The burning of trash, the jam-packed roads, the never-ending honks. And to go back to my hometown Kintamani, it's amazing. To see the fresh coffee tanning in the bright sun, the sounds of birds chirping, pigs oinking, and to feel the cold breeze blowing the trees back and forth. And to just see the beautiful view of the northern landscapes, it's amazing. In our coffee business, it's more than just a business. It's a part of our lives, our livelihood. And to see Bali experiencing a diminishing water table is very worrisome. We can't really live without water and do anything without water. Now, Indonesia today is developing incredibly fast, building skyscrapers, offices, factories, and so on. With more urban spaces, there are less green spaces. This increases the amount of flooding, with a lack of entry points for absorption due to the paved, tiled, and cemented surfaces. Flooding. And because of that, water cannot easily percolate to the ground and refill the local aquifers where it is most needed. Now, so let's use this time and opportunity that we have left. Efficiently, to help restore the aquifers that we have drained by building recharge wells. Now, many of us might know what recharge wells are, but for the people who don't, recharge wells in its simplest form are giant holes that help water move downward, from surface water to clean groundwater, using filtration systems to help replenish the aquifers that we have drained. Now, so with the help of Edith and my dad, we created a new type of recharge well that uses pressure to filter the water. And this is how it works. When it rains, the dirty surface water slowly fills the first hole, leaving all the organic matter behind on the bottom, as seen. Then, as it steadily pushes the dirty water into the chamber using the pressure from the first hole, it fills the second hole. Then from that pressure, it spits out the water, the clean drinking water, into nearby aquifers. And by doing so, people living off of aquifers will be able to drink clean drinking water again. Now, not only that, but this also helps land subsidence, saltwater intrusions, and floods. Something we could totally use in green school because there are lots of floods in the rainy season. And this is how I did it. First, I made a mini model using fabric rolls, tape, and my mom's business cards, so I can see what it's going to look like when I'm finished. Then we decided to bore the holes with a boring machine. But it sounded a little bit boring, so we decided to put some elbow grease into it and dug it with shovels. And after an excruciating week of hard work, the final results paid off. And after covering the filtration system with rocks and gravel, this is what I've ended up with, really looking like the original plans. So, the recharge that I built won't exactly solve Bali's entire water problem. But you know what will? Action from the government. If the government listened to us, to the people, to the scientists about Bali's water problem, we would be in a better place. This will be challenging though, because of the lack of funding and corruption that impacts every level of government in Bali. The government always talks about providing basic needs of people in Bali, but instead the government sells huge amounts of waters to big companies like Coca-Cola and Danone Aqua that have big factories in Bali. Now, I want you to think of this. A small 5 milliliter bottle of Coca-Cola takes roughly 2 liters of water to make. Now, think in your head how many bottles of Coke you've drank. Maybe a lot, maybe not so much. Now, estimate how many bottles of Coke you think are on sale right now in Bali. Maybe 5,000, maybe 1 million, maybe 5 million. But I think we can all agree that it is a huge amount of water used. So for now, let's stick on what we can do, like build an efficient recharge well. I would like to thank Pak Dave, Ibu Jackie, Pak Lance, all the quest teachers that have helped me, Edep, my family and friends, for supporting me in my ups and downs, through this amazing journey. And of course, Green School, for giving me this opportunity to express myself, to share my journey with all of you, and to just be here. To be a local scholarship student, I feel so lucky. But of course, the journey doesn't end here. Just like water's journey, from ground to sea to sky, it truly never ends. Our mission to ensure access for clean drinking water for all inhabitants of Bali. I'm not asking you to change your lifestyles. We all have wonderful lifestyles. But I'm just asking you to do the small things, like turn the faucet off while you're brushing your teeth, only use the dishwasher when it's full, only take the amount of water you're able to drink instead of dumping it out when you're not finished, and try bucket shower once a week, why not? But of course, most of all, try to be mindful. Every time you use the amazing, integral building block of life on our blue planet that we call water. Suksuma.